Okay.
So, yeah. How to PvP. How do we want to start? So, I guess we can start with like what deployment costs, or maybe how to make a
Yeah,
PvP team,
deployment
because a
cost.
lot of people don't know how to make like a PvP team as well. People have been asking me that.
Oh yeah, I've seen some really bad teams before.
Yeah, so we can kind of discuss on how to make a PvP team, I guess, in a sense, because it's like some people might put too many defenders or too many strikers, or just don't know like a proper comp position. Because some people are just like, okay, this unit's broken, they'll just put all of them in like one
Oh
team.
yeah,
But that's typically not how it works, considering that you need your team to basically fluctuate along with each other, buffing each other, and like just having good synergy, basically, right?
mm-hmm. I mean, you're gonna get somewhere, but you're not gonna get very high if you just keep using the most meta units.
Yeah, basically.
It's gonna pop in there and then-
It's just like if you don't have a good diversity in like what's that called units, then you won't exactly like do very well when it comes to um, climbing against other people who
Mm.
actually have their own team comps, basically. And when they have their
Yeah,
own team
so
comps, they know what their team does. Like they know how their employees work around in that team, so they're very used to it. They're very what's that called? They basically know their limits. They know what each unit's supposed to do within that team, and they don't like
oh yeah,
willy nilly just place down units like okay, defender first, striker second, ranger third, or sniper, or support, all that stuff, right?
yeah. I mean, you don't have to see what's on the battlefield as well.
Yeah, exactly. So you need to place down units based on what you see on the battlefield or what's safe or not. But for when it comes to team building, you need to build in general, just a team that can perform well with each other, in a sense.
Yeah. So let's give some examples. So I'm sure everyone's familiar with the Titan comps, right?
So
So
Titan comps, mechs.
so in the Titan comp, it does have a defender, the Hound, but the core of it is the Titan itself. But it only works with the ship. Because the ship heals HP percent for all mechs, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So in that example, Titan's just a beast. If you ever had experience fighting a Titan, where uh, it can dish out a lot of damage, has high accuracy as well, a high hit, and it's just impossible to kill if you don't have enough DPS. So in that sense, Titan is the tank and the DPS, and the ship is the support. But that's about it. I think like in every team you just need a tank, a DPS, and a support. But other than that, there's of course other roles like an assassin and a buffer, a debuffer. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. As well as people who have high hit stun, or people who CC very well,
Oh yeah.
or just knockback in general, or just kind of stuff like what's it called? Just the how they perform as well with the ship, and how like it synergizes. Like with soldier teams, you would want to have the Enterprise carrier type, or some
Oh
other
yeah.
ships, or the Blue Mark II when it comes out, or for mech ships, you would want Abraham, or when the SSR Coffin 6 comes out, you can run that as the mech ship,
Mm,
etc., etc., kind of like that. So your ship definitely matters as well if you want to build like a crit heavy team, or like a team where you're relying on crits, or for
Habizumi.
yeah, Kamazumi would be really nice. Or if you have a team comp but that struggles a lot against frontline, or like really hard tanks, or like Awakened Hilda, you would kind of want to run Enterprise, kind of stuff like that, or like against evasion teams and stuff. Or your team can't deal with that stuff, so you want your ship to fill in what you can't do with just your team,
Yeah, definitely.
basically.
Or to boost up whatever you do.
hmm
So, ooh, rank time.
So, showing kind of like this stuff right here, this is my comp that I got to with Diamond. Basically, I kind of wanted to make Maria the staple of my team, where she provides a constant boost to my whole team while she does a lot of support, aerial attacks, as well as very nice knockback or just a nice
Huge damage.
yeah, just a very nice ulti that can summon extra units to defend my backline. Because I only have 3 frontline here, very reliant on my defenders and my strikers being alive, and if they aren't, then they'll die. So that's what I need Claudia for. I need that burst healing, and then I need Sylvia to deal with mech comps or Titan comps in general, or just anti backline. I also have Rosaria for huge damage to the ships and whatnot, or to counter striker comps. Or I use Gayun because she's basically my bread and butter DPS that will pretty much always function as long as she's on the field, but she needs to be kept alive. So she's placed very much later in the match, or like 4th or 5th if I need her. And Shifuyu basically just to defend against Awakening Hildas. So you want to build a comp that basically kind of counters, or how I look at the game is basically it's a card game in a sense. So you want to build a deck that is most consistent to win versus other decks, and that's how I kind of view team building in this game. You don't want to like you can be consistent against one deck but absolutely destroyed against another deck. No, you want to build consistency against most decks, and that's what team building or trying to find a good team for each week basically entails. So this is what I found out that helps me the most. I use Kami to combo with Maria's buff, which gives you 25% extra crit as well. So this gives 20% damage of crit damage, and this gives 25% and extra crit. So that's what ship I used. I could have used Gleipnir if I wanted to, or built Enterprise Carrier if I wanted to build a soldier team, but this is the comp I basically made. You have Voodoo over here, who has a different type of comp, I believe. He has
you can look, check the leaderboards, yeah.
Yeah, so he is... Where is he?
I'll check all.
Yeah. Ooh, Doll's back up there.
Oh, damn, everyone's pushing. Okay, I'm top 10 right now.
Yeah, he's top 10. So he uses a soldier kind of type comp with anti-air, seems.
It's less of a soldier, except for, the Kang, Eddie, and Jane Doe. It's more of a all-in Jane Doe kind of build. People are calling the Jane Doe Rush build. So this comp got me from gold to masters in a week, as you can see under right there, because this season just restarted last week, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so how this comp works is you just the Jane Doe, you just put Jane Doe as lead, and you put Jane Doe down right away, and then you put Kang and Eddie in the back as a buffer, because they give in total I think 30% damage reduction and 30% attack. And then if you could follow up with a Chifuyu or a Chinatsu. A Chifuyu if you need more DPS, Chinatsu if you need more survivability. And essentially, with all those things going on and rushing, the enemy usually doesn't have time to react, or they'll be caught off guard, and you'll just eat through their ship in 18-second, 20-second games.
Yeah, so basically you can have a lot of different types of comps. Like we can go through like a lot of different comps, like through all these people. Yeah. Like some people use Hilda. Hilda's a very underrated striker. I think she's very strong.
Interesting. He's the top stellar user right now.
Stell's a very interesting thing. He's free to play apparently.
No, he's free to play.
I don't know if that's true, but actually no, that's not even true. Hold on. But in general though, it's just like you gotta build a comp that works with you, how you play, and basically what you can do well with, basically, and what it does well against other comps. So other than that, we can also talk about stuff like deployment costs and whatnot when it comes to like what's it called? Basically deciding when to put down your unit and like how to save deployment costs. So specifically, you don't want to like put down your units willy-nilly to like put down a unit on the field to stall them. That usually doesn't work because they just die anyways, and you just wasted 3 deployment costs while they saved up 3 deployment costs. So deployment cost here is very important. So you can see I decided what to do if I wanted to put down my Yumi or my Hilda. I decided to put down Hilda. He did put down a Chifuyu, but I'm near my ship, so I want to take advantage of this. Afterwards, I decide that I want to put down a Chifuyu here so I can shred down the Hilda as well. I do realize that there is an Evelyn there, so I do want to try and sniper with my anti-backline here, which does successfully work. You do see that Chifuyu is very low, and she might be very close to dying, so I put down a support. And that's kind of the decision making that you wanted to make during a game. You don't want to just keep spamming your units like this guy's doing. Like, he wants to keep his units alive, so he's gonna keep spamming them. Sometimes you might just want to bite the bullet and just lose that unit, build up your deployment costs, and do a retake basically of the map.
Definitely.
But right
Yeah,
here, yeah.
Most ships, you have a comeback mechanic. The second skill of most ships usually pushes back.
Which I basically use right there and push most of the backline DPS back. A lot of stuff, like you can see, like you can choose between Gayun or Rosaria. I decided that Gayun in my comp would just be the steady DPS and ulti big damage, and then Rosaria would just be alright. So there's a tanks and strikers on the left side, there's the squishies on the right side. I'm just gonna make Rosaria snipe the squishies on the right side. So you can make her kind of like a sniper. So you want to designate basically roles or something like that for your team basically. But deployment cost is definitely very huge. Right here, let's show a loss.
My guilty.
Yeah, I definitely fucked up here somewhere. I just don't remember how. So we can explain the fucks up as well.
He has a pocket Jane.
I don't know if he did. I don't remember a Jane, except for the person that had a Jane icon.
Lead, yeah.
So I do crit a ship, which is really nice. But I did fuck up this team. I think I just deployed way too late. That might have been the problem. Oh no. So basically right here, this is a good example. I absolutely fucked up by deploying in what's that word called? Preemptively, so I can try and snipe the Evelyn. Which at the same time he then put down a Awakening Hilda. So that's what you don't want to do. You basically want to play to what the other person plays, but not play harshly to use all your deployment costs. A really big thing in RTA is using all your deployment costs at once. Most of the time it won't work, but sometimes it will, depending if the enemy has an unlucky hand, right?
I mean, yeah, if you want to rush, it's okay to put all of it down right away, but you generally can't rush a heal day teams, you know, like big tanky units.
Yep. So yeah, putting down like all your deployment costs before knowing what your enemy has is pretty much a disadvantage for you and an advantage for the enemy team, as they know what they have and they know what they can counter your team with. So it's not a good idea to basically deploy all your deployment points onto one clash, basically. If that's right. But yeah, other than that, there's deployment costs, there's team building. What else are we missing for how to PvP?
Counterplay.
Yeah, counterplay. So obviously in that match, we did see, I did put down Chifuyu and whatnot, and they did put down a Hilda, but I guess that was kind of either unlucky timing. It wasn't really counterplay, I guess. It was just unlucky timing, but also the fact that what's it called? So some matches you could have. Well, I guess we can explain this match right here.
Okay.
So.
I haven't seen this one.
Yeah. So. This is the first match I had against him. I didn't know what he had, so it was definitely just new. So I wanted to play safe, wait for my deployment cost to go up a bit, put down my Maria, and right here he pulls out a Hilda from his deck, as well as a Chifuyu.
Yeah.
So I wanted to counter this kind of in a way that I could survive potentially.
Please don't tell me you put down Claudia.
Yep.
No. Rosa?
I think I put down Rosa. Yeah, I definitely put down Rosa here, trying to counter the fact that he's next to my ship, and I had ship advantage here, so they can't really hit me. But he counterplays that by put downing his own support to keep them healthy, push back as well, puts down a Kang to push me back all the way to the back of the ship. I try and push him back with my laser skill, but it misses Gayun, so she doesn't get knocked back here.
You're not popping up your Sylvia at all.
So right here I misplayed definitely with the Yumi. Instead of putting down another tank, I definitely probably should have put another DPS. But in the end, Gayun did ult and destroyed my whole backline. So with Gayun, it is actually very dangerous to put down your, or get pushback at the end of your ship, even though that is advantageous in some situations. So in general, he did have the upper hand here. He counterplayed to what my moves were, and I lost because of that. So
yeah, you don't want to get cornered by Gayun.
yeah. So knowing what he had, I did play against him again in the next 2 matches. I basically kind of knew what he had. I'm just like, okay, so he only has, okay, so he's 2 supports. He has a Hilda and Shifilyu, so that's kind of the general thing he does. So I'm going to be like, okay, let's try and take the initiative here. And he decides to do the same rush attempt. So obviously put down the combi skills so I can reduce the attack speed of the Chifuyu, put down my tank to tank a little bit for my Chifuyu so she doesn't die. She gets very close to death here, but I put down Claudia to basically make her live for a little bit longer to deal with their Hilda, get that defense down on her, use my ship skill to finish her off, and then Maria brings down the special order to finish off the Evelyn. Kind of tragic here, but she does clear out my team with Precisimo, but my Gayun, noting that, has her ulti still up. So I put down Sylvia with Maria's ulti as frontline to snipe the Gayun, as well as putting down Chifuyu to keep my Sylvia aligned, knocking her down, and just anti-defender stuff in general. Afterwards, put down another defender so I can have a little bit of extra frontline. Afterwards, I either would want to put a Claudia down here, but he does use the ship skill, so I decide against that, I believe. Or, no, yeah, I just put down more support so I can deal with the Hilda drop, basically. He puts down a Rosaria to deal a little extra damage, but right here I put down my Gayun with my ulti, as well as Shifuyu getting her own ulti, comboing that with a nice barrier from Claudia.
Wow. Good thing you saved that ult.
Yep. So Entails finish that off. So the PvP is basically just reading your opponent and or acting very fast with what they do, basically. Other than that, I basically do the same thing again with this next match. So I played against him again. And I'm like, okay, so this is kind of what he's weak to. So I'm going to continue doing the same strat. So he waits for it this time. And puts down Shifu in the very back, but Hilda in the very front. So he wants to rush me very fast here, which is very interesting. So instead, I'm going to just put down my Hilda instead of my Yumi. Because I'm pretty sure my Yumi cannot live this burst right here. So he puts down a support right here, and I put down my Chifuyu so I can deal with their defender Hilda with Chifuyu rush. So right here, instead of a support, I don't have a support, but right here I want to put down Sylvia to counteract the backline, which will kill Evelyn. So there goes their support. He does use his ship skill, I believe. So I put down my Claudia so I can put down my support, keep my team very healthy. He attempts to push me back here into the back of the ship, but I do stun her, which is really nice, into a massive front line with my Mario ulti, as well as right there a Rosaria dropped to hit the Gayun and Shinatsu into the back line by placing them close enough to Gayun, which will shoot their special towards the right. And yeah, basically just using your units in a way that you can counter what they do, basically reacting to what the enemy does. is how you basically want to play this game.
And make sure the positioning is right as well. Like your unit will target the closest unit they are next to, and let's say you put down Rosaria to nuke that Gayun, but you put it a little bit to the left, and it's closer to the A Hilde. It's gonna special to the left and miss the Gayun entirely.
Basically.
And Gayun's probably just like in a one shot at Rosaria.
And that's a 4-cost unit down the drain, and they basically are up 4 costs at that point because you just wasted one for no reason.
Exactly.
So that is what can cause you to lose, but obviously to do all this you need to learn what your team can do, what their roles are, and to build a solid team to deal with the enemy basically, in a way.
Yeah. And builds are another story, right? Like what gear to put on which teams, which units.
Yeah.
It's a whole different video, I think.
Yep, definitely. But yeah, so like gear to put on people for PvP would be a very, very long video, considering that.
A lot of units.
Yeah, it is just a lot of units. But the basic consensus is that even though 4K is the max defense, 80% damage reduction for PvE and PvP, it's impossible to hit 4K in PvP because you only get around 10% of your bonus stats plus your base stats, meaning she's only around like 2,300 defense in PvP, so running 2+2 defense is actually more viable than HP defense for more damage reduction. Other than that, obviously CDR on your supports, attack speed on attack speed characters. If you don't have another CDR set, filler will work. The same, as long as you have good substats. In PvP, substats are key. Like, heavily key. It's not just the set.
The percentage.
Yeah, it's not just the set, it's the substats. And running substats basically will, as you can see, deal a lot of damage and give you a lot of skill haste depending on how you build them. For example, like obviously I have my Rosaria here, I wanted to build her a little bit more skill haste, but also I had a lot of crit damage from the set effect of the SC gear, which is crit damage. So all these have crit damage in them. I built anti-ground damage and I rolled anti-striker damage as well. So I basically kind of use her as an anti-striker at the same time. Obviously there's other units like Maria, you can have her build max CDR, so she's up to 51% skill haste right now. I don't have tier 6 gear, so that can't really go up to like 70%. But that's basically how effective units are with substats. Upgrading your main stats won't exactly do much. Like for PvP, these stats would give you like plus 14 evasion and plus 14 hit, which isn't exactly as important. Same with the option 1 substat, it only gives like 10 HP. But when you have something with like percentage, it basically goes a very long way in PvP, as those don't get reduced, they just go off of what your stats are in PvP, which will definitely help you a lot. I think we covered almost everything, right? Alright, cool. So that's pretty much how to PvP in a sense. I will be doing like coaching sessions as well for some people, as people have requested. So yeah, I'll probably do that like right after this. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Thank you.